All right, guys, welcome to episode 22 of Kingdom Business TV. I am super excited that you are joining me for the next little bit of time. I can see you here. I'm going to be teaching on here. We're going to be reading through the Bible, and I'm going to be taking your calls. So, gang, this is like, we don't have a guest speaker on today. Anything is on the table. What would you like to talk about, right? So basically, I want your questions. All right, they can be questions around business, marketing, faith, family, money, Bible, scripture, church. Let's just get those questions in and I will give you my 2 cents on your questions. How do you do that? You just send a message to the Business Greenhouse Facebook page, right? So if you're on a device right now, you may have to minimize the screen and then you'll see send a message. If you send that through, one of my team will find it. And camera's moving. One of my team will see your message come through. They will call you, patch you through to me, and I will be able to hear you. So I'm super excited. So I want your questions though, right? This is a call-in show for a reason. It's way better when you put in a question and I answer it for you. So remember, you can't get this wrong. Whatever is on your mind right now. Even big question, small question, doesn't matter to me. I would love to be able to jump on here and answer your questions. So send those through to our Facebook page and we will get them answered for you. Scripture of the day today is one that has come up quite a few times for me in the last few days. So why wouldn't we talk about it here today? We're going to Psalm 91. Psalm 91. So, what do we know about Psalm 91? Well, we know it comes just after Psalm 90, right? No, what do we know about Psalm 91? We know that, it's kind of like God's protection in our time of trouble. Author, unknown. I reckon written by Moses, correlated by David. That's what I reckon, right? But there are scholars smarter than me who fall on both sides of the camp. So who knows? I'm just looking at the way it's written and so forth. But there's a few things in it that I think are absolutely amazing, right? I literally think they're amazing. And so we're going to run through them and I'm going to pull some points out because that's what we do. Remember, you guys that are on right now, do me a favor, hit the share button, share the show up. I want more people to jump on here. It means the world to me when I get your support, right? So I want love hearts, thumbs, shares, comments, likes. That's what blesses me no end. Psalm 91, from a business person's perspective, says this. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. We'll go and then we'll come back. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. Not every translation will use the word pestilence. What does that mean? Direct word would be plagues, right? Like the bubonic plague of London and things like that. So this is like, He's going to protect you from the pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies through the day. That's really important. Nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 to your right side, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Even the Most High, your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you or near your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. I got to tell you, I don't know, we all have different ways of doing spiritual warfare. For me, one of the greatest things is to, find strength in Scripture. It puts a lot of things in perspective, like when you're going through some stuff and it's a bit crap. So you kind of get out of that little world and you start looking at scriptures like this. And you can imagine when you put yourself in the position of people like David and those who wrote and Moses and many others, they lived with some real challenges and they allowed God to become their rock and their refuge, and it served them well. So why would it be any different to us? But here's a few things that I want to pull out of this. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. See, that's interesting. Dwells in, to me, is very different to praise to, right? You know, like it's great to pray to God as if he's some sort of far off being. But this, like, it's a whole different thing when you dwell in the secret place of the Most High. What that is that's the secret place being that place that you draw away to where you are closest to God, right? So, you know, that for some that might be going out in the bush, for some that might be in the ocean, for some that might be whatever, okay? You've got to find that place. But when you dwell in the secret place of the Most High King and abide under the shadow of the Almighty, that talks about having such a relationship, right? This is so much more than praying and reading scripture. This is a place where your relationship is so tight that you are dwelling and abiding together, okay? Right? If we can get that level of intimacy in our relationship where we're abiding and dwelling together in a secret place, the Most High King, there's nothing you cannot face in life. When we don't have that level of intimacy and things come at us, then we're forced to just throw random, scriptures at circumstances, hoping for the best. So this shifts our perspective on how important things are. Then it goes on to say, the other bit I like, I will say to the Lord, he's my refuge and my fortress, in him I will trust. Yes, surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the pestilence. He shall cover you with feathers and take refuge. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night and the arrow that flies by day. Let's put that into a business context. Ever find yourself sitting there at night time, whether it be, when you're supposed to be asleep or in your sleep or just when you're away from the office and fear starts to grab you? That deal's not going to come through. How could you possibly pay for that? Why would you order that? Shouldn't make that move. Shouldn't make this investment. Fear just grabs us, right? At night time. I don't know whether you have that. I certainly have that, okay? It's for me, crazy as it sounds, it's almost like when the day is done and I finish running and I've put the kids to bed and, I've hung out with Kimberly, and when the house is quiet, it's almost like then the enemy's like, right now I'm going to try and steal, the thoughts of this guy and put fear and stuff in my mind. And this is what he's saying, right? You shall not be afraid of the terror by night. I've had so many sleepless nights when I was a younger business person, worried about all of this stuff, and probably didn't need to. You will not be worried about the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by the day. Ever feel like your competitors are trying to pull you down and lying and cheating about you? Ever felt like the staff are gossiping and slandering you? These are the arrows that come by the day, okay? If you chose business and you chose kingdom business, there are going to be some arrows coming your way, okay? So when we abide in those places and we dwell with the Most High King, we don't have to worry about the terror, the fear that can grab us in any second, and we don't have to worry about the arrow that the enemy shoots at us during the day and using the business world to do that. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 to your right-hand side, but it shall not come near you. What does that look like in business? I started business coaching in 2006 was part of a big group for a little while. That didn't really work out. Left them, went on my own in 2000 and I don't know what it was, 8 and so forth. Since then, I reckon there's probably only a handful of coaches still around today that were around when I started, all right? The GFC came along in 2008. That was a really hard year, 2008, 9, 10. And the week, it didn't work out with the week, all right? They fell away. And here I am, running this race for the long term, 2019, and I'm just getting started. And I'm fully expecting to be doing this in 2029. Will it be this format? Who knows, right? Who knows? God knows. I don't need to know that. So when you have this long-term view and you run this race, and when you've got God on your side, Matt, do you know the amount of people that have accused us and slandered us from the sidelines? They're all gone now. I can even tell you that, the few people that have actually intentionally ripped me off in business, cash ripped me off in business, and there's many of those stories, they're all bankrupt, funnily enough. They have all filed for bankruptcy. It's really interesting when you look at it, and I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just saying, but because right? I dwell in the secret place of the Most High King, and I do my best to, abide in the shadow of the Almighty. Of course, there are people that try and attack you, but they fall to the left and they fall to the right, and we just keep our nose clean and we keep on running. And so that just gets me pumped, right? It gets me pumped. It's an outworking of what I read about in Scripture, right? I want to experience more of this stuff in my life. And so I like to have that perspective, okay? It goes on to say, you'll see with your eyes and you shall look and see the reward of the wicked. Do you know how many people I've come and seen in business who are transactional, couldn't care less, right, about, people, products, longevity. They couldn't care less about any of those things. All they care about is making a fast, quick buck. And every single one of those people is worse for it right now. I've seen so many come and so many go, and they're all broke, and they go from deal to deal, opportunity to opportunity, and they never get anywhere, right? That is the reward of the unrighteous that I have been able to see while I just keep running my race. And that's what I want from you, right? You'll be seeing this. But do not fear. Do not fear about the arrows that come by day and the terror that comes by night. But you don't get to walk in that, that assurity unless we abide, under the shadow of the Almighty and dwell in that place with the Most High King. We've got to lift our intimacy levels. If we really want to take this seriously and we want to build a big business and we want to have influence, we've got to lift these levels of intimacy to the point where we're not just praying to God and believing for things, where we're actually intimate with Him and spending lots of time in His presence. So based on that, what was the bit that jumped out to you? I want to comment in the comments box, please, right? There's a bunch of you online live with me right now. What was the thing that popped to you? I want to comment in the comments box from you guys, please, because you are the oxygen that keeps this thing moving. All right, gang, type. I want to hear the stuff that is popping. All right, I believe we have a question. So, Craig, who do we have? Simeon.
Hello, this is Simon.
Hey, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Hey, Wes, Simon Cry here. How you going?
Good, mate. How are you?
Doing awesome, man. Let me just make sure I mute you here. Here we go. Gotcha.
Mate, what can I answer for you?
Man, I run a digital marketing agency here on the Gold Coast. We have got clients all through Australia and New Zealand. The biggest question that I get asked a lot is, let's say if I'm advertising on social media like Facebook, what should my daily ad spend be? And I thought it would be, because I get asked that question a lot, I thought it would be a really great answer for you to give to your audience. I thought it would help them a lot.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Good question. Very good question. There is one answer for absolutely everybody. More. More. And I don't have any shares in Facebook at the minute, so it's not like I'm going to benefit. Here's my thing, right? I think it depends on what cycle of the business you're in. So if somebody says to me, I'm in a real growth phase right now, then there cannot be a blanket rule of this much percent. Because you kind of need to go all in, right? During a growth phase. Like a growth phase is going to require so much capital that's got to come from somewhere. So, then your daily spend will be just up, more and more and more. I think for me, the way I look at this is I go, if I look at my CAC and my LTV, my customer acquisition cost and my lifetime value, right? Which means I've got to know some numbers about my business. So if it's costing me $200 to buy a customer, for example, and that customer is bringing in $2,000 in spend in however many transactions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like the lifetime value of that customer. If I'm spending 200, making 2,000, and I run at a 50% GP, right, which means I only really get half of that 2,000. So it's $200 out, it's $1,000 in, right? Once we know, and everybody will be different. Some will be $5 out and $50 in, and some people are whatever. Like the numbers are massively varied for everybody. Once I know those two numbers and I know the maths work, then it's just a case of pouring fuel on the fire. right? Once those numbers work, then it's every single spare dollar that you can ever get your hand on, plus beg, borrow, and steal, plus sell everything in the house except the kids, and even then maybe, and then borrow and borrow and go. Because, you know, the mistake a lot of people make is they say, oh, I should put 10% of my revenue towards marketing. Well, that might be fine, but what if you could grow 3 times as fast? Right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And then, so for me, once I have those numbers, it's all in with my money, right? It's every spare dollar because the maths work. So I know it doesn't help you get what's your daily ad spend. Okay, so let me try and help you with how to answer that broadly. I think Facebook, you used to be able to dabble with Facebook, right? And give it $20 and $30 and stuff like that. I think that, you know, the cost of acquisition for a customer on Facebook has gone up a lot in the last 24 months. And it should do, because the platform's a lot better. It's not like they're charging more. They're like, you know, like for me, my cost of acquisition in the last 12 months has doubled, right? But the product, the platform is more than 2 times as good. So I don't mind. I think they're fine. But as more people use it and so forth, it's going to become a more expensive platform. Just like Google AdWords, it was 10 cents when they started for a click, and now it might be $10. I mean, that's a big jump. So Facebook's only going to become more expensive. I think what that means is it can no longer be the poor cousin strategy that you throw a few crumbs at to get it to work. I think in 2019, it needs to be one of the top 3 pillars in any business. Maybe not the top 1, but in most businesses, it would need to be in the top 3 or 4 pillars of your business, which means you have to invest more money, which means you have to treat it a bit more seriously. You know, I think gone are the days where we're talking about hundreds of dollars a month, right? I think we're now in the days where it's thousands of dollars a month to get Facebook to work, okay? And once you prove that it does, you know, if you can get $2,000 spend to work mathematically, then why wouldn't you go to 4 and see if you can replicate double the outcome? And if you can go to 4, why wouldn't you go to 8 and then work out if you can double the outcome? So for me, I just kind of slow it down a little bit and I put those steps in place. And then once I know that I've got maths that work, and then I'm like, you know, just like throw buckets of fuel on it and watch it grow. Well, bless you, buddy. I appreciate you calling in. Catch up soon. Thanks, man. Bye. The old Facebook trick, eh? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So if you're doing Facebook ads right now, do me a favor and put something in the comments box, right? Just give me a thumb up. Give me the Facebook thumb in the comments box if you're doing Facebook ads. I want to see how many of you are actually doing Facebook ads and doing them well, okay? I want to know from you guys. If you have a question, send us a message. We will get it through and I will help you do that. Craig, if I can have a screen up here of this doodad, that would be excellent. Bit of technology. So the numbers that I just spoke about so that was customer acquisition cost and lifetime value. Now that's not brand new to you. I mentioned this on another episode a little while ago. But there are a couple of other numbers that I think you should be working on. And so I might run through those over a few different episodes because they're pretty in-depth. But let's have a bit of a look at some of them now, okay? Now, here's one that every single one of us can probably do something about. Average dollar sale, okay? So here's the funny thing about average dollar sale. Every business has one of these, right? For example, you know, some people may come to you and they'll spend $50. Some people may spend $500. Some people may spend $5,000. But somewhere in amongst all of your customers, there is an average. Okay, so let's just use a bakery as an example because it's nice and easy. Some people, when they come to the bakery, they buy 1 chocolate eclair and they leave $2.10. Some people buy 6 chocolate eclairs and a fresh bread, and then they leave. And some people do that and the milk. Okay, but in amongst the 300 transactions I did today, the average might be $4.80, picking a figure. Okay, so you need to know your number though. What is your average dollar sale? And then the only other time this may change is if you've got two very distinct parts to your business. Okay, so for example, let's say you were in the business of swimming pools. Well, if you had one arm of your business selling and installing pools and another arm of your business testing pools, you wouldn't want to do those together because the numbers are unfair to each other. They'll massively skew it, right? You know, one's $50,000 for a one-off pool and one's $70, $70 just to do it, come and do a thing, whatever. So you would want to do those independently. If you have two very big extremes in your business, then you would want to measure those independently. But let's say you came up with, an average of $60. Okay, let's just pick a nice round figure. So once we know the average dollar sale, then our goal is to drive it up. All right, the goal is always to take this number and drive it up. What does that mean? We need some strategies to take this $60 to $66, okay? If we could get our average dollar sale from $60 to $66, multiply that by the number of transactions you do in a year, it's 10% more revenue, of course, over the year. But I'm going to be teaching you strategies on how to do 10% increases in multiple areas to get a compounding effect. But just this area here, just this one strategy alone can be, like if you were to do 10% more revenue overnight by spending an hour or a day on some strategies, would that be a good thing? The answer is always yes. Let me give an example of how we worked with this. I worked in a retail store. When I say coached, I coached a retail store, like camping, outdoor type store. And they came to me, so this was like GFC, 2009-10, and they came to me and they said, hey, listen, retail's down. And I said, how much? And they said, the standard answer, 10%, right? I said, okay, great. And I said, what's your average dollar sale? And they said, we don't know, but we can pull it from our software. Great. They came back to me and it was like $65 or something. Average dollar sale across all their products. Some people buy a $1 widget, some people buy a $400 pair of climbing boots, but somewhere in there was a $60 average, 65. And so I said to them, so hang on a minute, what you're telling me is that if we can get $6.50, 10% of the average dollar sale, if we can get the average dollar sale up 10%, what you're telling me is you'll be back to where you were pre-GFC. Yeah, that'd be great. I said, great. We need to get $6.50 more per customer on average as they go through the till. So just to give you an idea, this is what we did. There's $65, so I wanted to get $6.50 more. So what we did was first of all, step number one was we trained the team, okay? So we trained the team to sell a higher, or to offer the customer in every circumstance a higher priced item. So when they came in, they said, I wanted to try these climbing boots for $150. We would say to them, hey, listen, there's a pair here for $170, $180, $190, whatever it was. We'd love you to try them on two just to compare. Some people say yes, some people don't, okay? We trained the team to, when somebody says, I'm looking for a tent, then we trained the team to go, well, if you're looking for a tent, you're probably also looking for some other complementary items. Is that correct? Oh, yeah. So let me take you to the torch and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And so we were getting bigger average dollar sales by not only selling a higher priced item, but sometimes doing an add-on sale, okay? So the second thing we did was we came up with some bundle products. So we came up and did some bundles. That doesn't look like a good spelling to me. But anyway, let's not a spelling show. So we did some bundles, all right? And I've completely lost my team here. And so... It's a suburb. Yeah. Isn't the suburb double L though? I don't know. So we trained the team to do, so not only to sell an up-priced item, but to have a bundle. If you buy this, people usually buy this. And then the third thing we did was we put some throwaway items, okay, at the counter of this business. So as you walked up to buy your products, as you walked up, there were these bins, 2 or 3 bins as you lead up to the counter. And the bins had the water bottle in it for $12. The next bin had something in it for $7. The next thing had something in it for $5. And then when you got to the counter, there were a couple of little trinkets on the counter that we sold for $1, $2, $3, $4. And so what we did was every single time somebody came through the cash register, the salesperson said, oh, hey, listen, we've got these great torches on sale and I can just grab one and put it through for you now. And not everybody says yes. This is the thing. Not everybody says yes, but some people do. right? And so they would just, every single time somebody came through, then we would do that. And we had the data to be able to know how many people bought one item, how many people bought two. We could check the performance of the salesperson and so forth, all right? Now, the cool part about it was those trinkets that were in those bins, what we actually did was we went to the suppliers and said, hey guys, what have you got that you're not able to sell? And they came back and said, we've got these things here that we down the back of the factory. We said, great. We're going to pay next to nothing for them, but we'll take them off your hands, okay? Or, in fact, I think with even some, we went back to them and said, hey, listen, you can't move them. You've had them for ages. We can't promise we move them. Give them to us on consignment, and we'll see if we can sell them. So these companies let us have all this stock for free, and as we sold it, we ended up paying back this company, which means we had no stock holding, which meant it was more margin, all right? So for this company, what that meant, just making those three changes, what it meant for them was they increased their average dollar sale by just a little bit over 10%, just by making those three changes, right? Just by spending some time training the team, making sure they bundle products together and having some throwaway products right at the very end to catch that transaction on the way out. But how does this play out to your business? Well, let me ask you, right? Have you done the when people buy this, they also buy this? Right, the online world do this incredibly well. When you go to buy a product, just before you're about to push buy, it says people that buy this also buy this. Would you like it? Throw it in the cart right at the very end. Have you thought about that in your business? Should you just do a straight up price rise? Should you do some bundling? And do you need to train some people so that you can get this consistently? Because if you were to be 10% more revenue at the end of 1 year, just by making these slight changes, then sometimes that's the differentiator, between break even and profit. Right? So it's always a very good idea. You need to always be chasing revenue. I think I'll go through a few of the other critical numbers on subsequent shows, and you'll see, and then I might just tie them all together at the end with the compounding effect. Because if you get more leads and you work on your margin and you work on your average dollar sale and you work on your conversion rates, 10% increase actually explodes your business over time. And if you can continue to be working on them, you get 100 to 150% increases. That's $100,000 going to, $250,000 businesses, okay? Just by knowing the numbers and working on each individual strategy. But that's the average dollar sale. You need to find a way to get your average dollar sale up by a minimum of 10%, probably by starting with 1, 2, or 3 of those areas. Gang, I want more questions from you. If you've got a question right now, then I want to hear it. So send us a message to the Business Greenhouse Facebook page and I will get this thing answered, as well as now I know how to use the page. So if you've got a question, put it in, because I'm going to be heading off here soon. While you're there, hey, listen, one of our clients, superstar clients, right, who have just done a year with us coaching, they want to remain anonymous, which is cool. I'll honor that. They came to me a little while back and they said, hey, listen, we've had a good year. The Lord has really prospered us. I love the way they said it. They said, we owe God some cash. And they said, we would like to fund some tickets for other business people to go to Kingdom Business Summit, which blows my mind, right? Because the Lord has prospered them in this business. They're going to give the money away, which is going to allow other people to get training, to get them to grow their business, which means like these people have kingdom mind, right? So basically, here's how that works, right? It's really good for those real early startups who can't afford the $79 to attend the summit. It's really good for, the people on my single mums, right? It's very, and single parents, let's just be nice and easy. But with single mums, they got the raw end of the deal, trying to get themselves ahead of the game, trying to provide for their children, and there's so many things drag them down. I can't do much, but what I can do is allow them to come to the room for free. So what's going to happen, only for Sydney and only for Adelaide, because the other two are sold out, we're allowing some people to attend for free. Now, I'm not giving the ticket away. Please understand, I wouldn't do that. I'm not that nice, but somebody else is actually paying for your ticket. So how do you do that? That's simple. If you know someone, tag them in the comments below, reach out to them on private message. We're not trying to embarrass anybody. We've had a couple of people, when I did a video this morning about this, just send us a private message and say, hey, listen, I'd love to come. And so we're hooking those people up with some tickets. So if you know somebody, or even if that's you and you couldn't make it for whatever reason, because the ticket price was stopping you, well, there are a few tickets available where you can attend for free. You're not getting the cheap seats. You'll be in with everybody else doing everything exactly the same way. So but only for Sydney and only for Adelaide, right? That's a little bit about how it works. All right, guys, I'm assuming you guys don't have any more questions. And so that is fine. We are on the lead up to the first Kingdom Business Summit. We fly out as a team on Thursday. Okay, I'll answer that in a second. We fly out as a team on Thursday down to Melbourne for Melbourne Kingdom Business Summit. It's such an exciting time for us. It really is, you know, like all new content, new speakers, new format. I'm going to be preaching an actual message this year. So anyway, I'm super excited, but there won't be a Thursday show for the next few weeks because we'll be traveling those days, and it'll just be far too taxing. Once my head's in the game for Summit, I kind of don't get out of that game for about 4 to 5 weeks. So we'll do a Monday show, but there won't be a Thursday show moving ahead. I've just got a question come through here, which is a good one. How do you increase average dollar sale in a professional services business where typically there are no actual products, just services that have been requested? Yeah, I mean, typically you can still bundle, okay? So it's like if they came for you for this maintenance package, how do you add on something else? And it could be something that they are already buying that you don't do. It could be something that they're not even aware that you do, right? So, for example, like speaking about a law firm, insurance firm, you know, typically this company I was working with, somebody calls up and says, I want some car insurance. They would say, yes, no worries, here's the price. Would you like to go ahead? Yes, done. I said to them, that's crazy because most people don't even know that, you know, you offer dog insurance and pet insurance and trauma and all this stuff. So literally we just changed the script on the phone to be, by the way, can I ask you a couple of questions? Do you also have this? Do you also have this? Do you also have this? I'd love to be able to quote you for more services on the spot. And then people said yes, okay? So that's a service-based business, not a product per se. And then maybe, here's an interesting point, maybe you should productize. You know, I think one of the things that's smart in 2019 is services businesses also need products and products business also need services, right? Because then you can completely double dip on your revenue. So maybe there is a product that you can use as an upsell that you can make some margin on. You know, if your customers are already buying something, why wouldn't you be the source of that? You're solving a bigger problem for your customer. And when you solve a bigger problem, you get paid more money, all right? But I'd just be looking at other services you could offer in, other services that are complementary to the ones you've got that you could go into. You know, here's an interesting concept. One of the things that I do is I find services that my clients are already buying and I go and do joint venture splits with those people where I might get paid for referring them on. So they come to me and they say, you know, they buy X off me, I sell them X and Y, they deliver the service and I get a commission, which when added to my revenue is basically a higher average sale. So there's a few little things for you to chew on, Daryl. Jan has asked a question, when building a buffer, how many months is a good idea? I'm assuming this is a financial buffer. And if that's the case, then that's how I'll answer it. If not, let me know and I will re-answer it. But when it comes to building a financial buffer, how many months is a good idea? I think 6. I think at least one bus payment, like at least 1 quarter's bus payment would be nice to have. You know, because then you're just not worried about the tax bill coming round. Obviously, if you're real smart, you'll have multiple accounts. You put some in for taxes, some in for different accounts. I think 3 to 6 months worth of operating expenses is really nice to have in a bank account because what that does is it takes the pressure off. And that's quite hard to get to. Like if you're starting, that's a long climb. But, you know, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit over time means that you would get there. I'm just trying to think through now. For me, I probably keep 1 entire BAS payment and 4 months worth of operating expenses aside at any given time. But that is on the high side because as the number gets bigger, it's a lot of money sitting around not being put to work. So I guess for me, it would depend a little bit on the business model, right? Ours is a recurring business model, which means the money is debited every month and put into our account. That's a lot more stable than, say, an electrical contracting business where you could literally have the phone dry up and no work. So if on those businesses, I would tend to have a little bit more. On a business like ours, I'll probably have a bit less. but I am a little bit greedy and I don't like to have things like have pressure. So I keep a little bit more available than most. But I reckon 3 to 6 months of operating expenses would be a really good baseline for most of us. Well, gang, I am going to sign off because it has been more than the allocated time. So that's the end of episode 22. Leave a comment for me. What's the bit that jumped out to you, right? What's the comment you would like to say back to me that is like, this is the bit that jumped out to me during episode 22. I want it because I love that oxygen. If you're going to be in Melbourne for the Kingdom Business Summit, I can't wait to see you. Me and my team are going to invest into you, and it is going to be a profound experience where we are going to be combining Jesus and business to a whole new level. Bless you guys. See you next week.